Have you ever been on a road trip?
Oh my gosh, so many, Kyle.
Oh.
Road trips are my favorite kinds of trips.
That's crazy, but okay, we can get into that in another episode.
Kyle's favorite kinds of trips are acid.
I can't feel my fingers, man. That's something someone on acid would say, right? Emily, tell me about some of your favorite road trips.
I mean, I probably mentioned on this podcast before, we got annual road trip to Maine. You and I seem to have an annual road trip to Pennsylvania.
It's true, even though we've only done that once.
No, we do it we've done it every year our whole lives.
Annual. Yeah, it's true.
My senior class took a road trip to Washington, D.C., and on the way we stopped at a rest stop in Delaware, and I had pizza at a rest stop in Delaware, and that's the biggest mistake I've ever made.
Yeah, I can't imagine Delaware has, you go to states and be like, this is the food of that state. You know, you go to Maine for lobster.
Sure.
I think you go to Delaware and you say, don't eat.
Avoid the
approach. Food. Yeah. What one thing should I not eat in Delaware? All of it.
Food. Food is the one thing you shouldn't eat in Delaware.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Emily Moyers and Kyle Imperator take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Emily Moyers.
And I'm Kyle Imperator.
Kyle, let's take a drive through a word. Let's take a road trip through history right now.
We're gonna mow down a word.
That's right. That's right.
Vehicular word slaughter.
That's right. And Kyle's gonna name our victim right now.
Emily, our victim today is.
You say like a person's name.
Jeffrey Beanstein. Emily, our victim today is the word Macadam. Macadam. Macadam.
Shoot. I've definitely heard the word Macadam.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, but not in a way where I could contextualize it at all.
I've never heard of it. You're going to tell me about this word, right?
Oh, yeah. This is an Emily episode in disguise.
Yeah, I knew it.
Okay. Is this a noun?
It can be a noun, yes.
What else can it be?
It can also be an adjective and a verb.
Darn.
But noun is the most common way you would see it.
Okay. I assume its etymology is somewhere on the British Isles?
You could say that.
I didn't like that answer.
It's the best answer you're going to get right now.
All right, fair enough. So let me just say, before I ask for a hint, let me just say that the sort of realm that I'm thinking is something like, I feel like there's a phrase like the full Macadam to mean like the full shebang, but I don't know if that's right, if I'm misplacing another word in there. So I'm just going to ask for a hint.
Emily, your hint is ka-chow.
Oh, now I feel like I'm right. That's good. Yeah. Wow. You've given me so much confidence with that. Is that what it means? Does Macadam mean like shebang?
You couldn't be further from the truth, Emily, but I love it. I love it.
Okay. Macadam. All right. Oh, I feel like I have it in my brain somewhere.
One more guess.
All right. Macadam means to. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
I don't think I do either. It's. No, I have nothing.
Emily, a macadam is any road or street. Is a macadam. Yeah, a road or street can be called a macadam. It's just another word for it.
I do not know this word.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah.
What is it as a
Macadam.
verb and an adjective? Or are you going to get there later?
We're going to get there later because it's going to take a lot of getting to be able to describe that.
Oh my gosh. Well, we better get on this road trip right now.
We're going to get on this road trip, Emily. Exactly. So, Macadams are eponymous, named after Scottish civil engineer John Loudon McAdam, spelled MC Adam. And to explain them, we need to travel. We're going to take a road trip by horse and buggy all the way back to the 1700s.
Wow. And our horse and buggy is going to swim across the Atlantic to Scotland?
Maybe fly. Who knows, Emily? Do you need help getting in, Emily?
No, of course not, Kyle. I'm a strong, independent woman.
Okay, yeah, you get in. That's it. All right.
How dare
you? Ready? Okay,
Ignore
here we
how many times I fall on the way up.
All right, here we go. Emily, the year is 1770. The place Ayr, Scotland, where a string of terrible misfortunes, including the destruction of a family mansion by fire and the failure of a family business, the Bank of Ayr, has culminated in the death of John Loudon McAdam's father, the Baron of Waterhead. Yeah, go ahead.
The Baron of Waterhead sounds like someone is like pretending to be of noble birth, and someone said, well, what's your title? And they were looking at a river, and they said, I'm the Baron of Waterhead. And the person said, sure.
That is exactly what that sounds like. I actually don't know where Waterhead comes from because it has nothing to do with the area that they lived. So that's for another day to figure out why that's Waterhead. So John was just 14 at the time that his father died, and the Waterhead McAdams felt it best for him to go live in the care of his uncle, William McAdam, spelled M-A-C Adam, in the burgeoning American colonies. So they shipped him off to visit his uncle.
So I've been watching Outlander. There's a lot in that show of Scots in the early American colonies. I think there were a lot of Scots there because the Scots did not win their wars of independence, but they said, maybe if we go over to America, we can win their war of independence and still stick it to England somehow.
That's very funny that you say that, Emily. So John decided to become a merchant like his uncle.
Yeah.
And together, the two were instrumental in the early years of the New York Chamber of Commerce, which his uncle helped to found. He was one of 30 people to found the New York Chamber of Commerce. Like, what could be more American than that, right?
That's capitalism, baby.
Now, Emily, you alluded to this, but can you tell the audience what came into full swing in the American colonies in the 1770s?
Revolution.
Revolution.
Vive la revolution. Although, depending on where he was in New York, there were a lot of loyalists there.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Emily.
Oh, no.
So, unfortunately, John and William...
Was he not one of those Scots that wanted to stick it to England?
He was not. He was not.
John... Rotten loyalist.
Lobster backs.
You monster.
So, John and his uncle, along with John's new wife, Gloriana Nickel, of the Nichols Road dynasty for the Long Islanders out there. Yeah, they were Long Islanders.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, then they were loyalists for sure.
Yeah,
oh my God.
They sided with the loyalists during the Revolution. I was reading up, there's a whole big thing about the Nickel family. Her great uncle was Richard Nickel. He was the first colonial governor of New York, and supposedly the Nickel family was sent over from the Netherlands to take over New York for the Dutch. Yeah. But John himself served in the British Reserves during the Revolution and acted as a British government contractor and a prize agent during the war. So like selling off prizes of war to people.
Oh, interesting.
And Emily, you remember how that war turned out, right?
Did the British lose it, I think?
Just a tiny bit. So yeah, after the Revolution, they just weren't welcome on Long Island anymore. And in 1783, the couple moved back to Scotland. Now, basically, they've lost everything. He's got nothing in Scotland, right? Because his family's mansion burned down, his father sold the business, died.
Right.
And he's got nothing in America. So he's starting fresh.
Yeah.
And McAdam gets his hands into any business he can, all right? He operates the local Kames Colliery, which was a mine that supplied coal to the British Tar Company.
Oh.
And he also became involved with the ironworks at Muirkirk, which is a place in Ayrshire where he was living, Muirkirk.
Okay.
He also became trustee of the Ayrshire Turnpike. Emily, do you know what a turnpike is?
I mean, I thought I did, but now that you've asked, I'm filled with doubt.
No, say what you think it is.
It's like a type of highway?
Yes, it is. I'll tell you how we got to that being a type of highway.
Oh.
So originally, a turnpike was the word for a turnstile or gate used to block access to roads in exchange for a toll. It was called a turnpike.
And now it makes sense. Now turnpike sounds like a very reasonable word for that.
Yeah, it broadened to mean the toll road that turnpikes were on. So turnpikes today are toll roads.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right?
Wow, That's fun.
It gets even funner, Emily.
Oh my gosh.
Turnpikes, the gates themselves, were originally inspired by military road barriers called cheval de frise. And cheval de frise were those crisscrossing X's of wood and spikes that you have to navigate to get into any bandit hideout in Skyrim. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That has immediately created a visual. Thank you.
That's a cheval de frise.
Wow.
And that's it, because they were, spiky. That's why turnpikes are called turnpikes. The pike is from spike.
Right.
Cheval de frise literally meant Frisian horse. And that's because they were used by the Dutch, who had no cavalry when at war against the Spanish. So they were like, this is the Dutch's version of the horse.
These are Frisian horses. Wow.
Anyway, that's a long walk to tell you that. Turnpike trusts were set up all over England to collect money for road maintenance. And McAdam was the best man to get on the job, Emily.
He made this his thing?
He made this his thing, Emily. Described as being gifted with a mania on the subject. McAdam began traveling the country on his own dime, where he discovered a number of problems with road construction. Emily, how do you think roads were being built at the time?
Oh, this is still like late 1700s?
Yep, late 1700s, early 1800s.
So they took... Ready? There's every time there was a man who was about to be tarred and feathered, they said, hang on, we've got a better purpose for that tar. And they would just sort of pour it to the best of their ability on the straight and narrow. And maybe it turned out good, maybe it didn't. Maybe they'd fill in the gaps with some rocks.
So you're saying they only made roads when they were trying to punish someone and decided against it.
Yeah. And they said, well, this is as good an opportunity as any. We can't let this tar go to waste. Let's find somewhere that needs a new chunk of road and lay some down. No, I guess roads would be cobblestone at that point. I guess they wouldn't be tar, huh?
Yeah, the cobblestone was sometimes used, but it turns out cobblestone was bad. It's just not a good material for making roads. I don't know if you've ever walked on a cobblestone road, but they're awful.
Sure, absolutely.
So actually, Emily, here's what happened. At the time, to build a road, one would dig an enormous trench that was like 4.5 feet deep, fill it with rounded stone and boulder, and then top it with a peaked mound of clay and dirt. It was excruciating work, and the dust inevitably washed away with the rain, creating uneven, dangerous roads that were extremely costly to maintain. It was just bad. Okay.
But cobblestone was worse?
Cobblestone was basically made the same way, just with more stone, I guess, with cobblestone. So the rationale for digging like a trench that deep was that the native soil would get muddy, and so it should be replaced entirely with other material. McAdam said, "Stop this. I've got a better idea." Really, anything could be better.
This is like the second musical number in a Broadway musical.
Yes. Oh my God. Emily, what is the opening number, the scene-setting number for the John Loudon McAdam musical?
So like, you know, it's sort of a Beauty and the Beast-esque, like, this is the town, we're establishing what the town is like and all the people in the town. Yeah. But the motif, the recurring line is about how much they hate their roads.
Yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely.
And then a guy comes into town. Maybe it's not the second. Maybe it's the third number.
Sing us a little, Emily. Sing us a little.
No, absolutely not. Good try. But like, you know, when the action starts to pick up is that this guy, this newcomer into town is like, I've got a better way.
Yes, that is probably, I think, exactly how it happened.
The vibe of it is like Beauty and the Beast meets The Music Man meets Brigadoon.
Yeah, it's Brigadoon. It's this, honestly,
producers,
this is a perfect combination of all three. I'm going to start writing up the score tonight. So, Emily, McAdam discovered that the important part of the road was not building it deep, but it was the surface. And he decided that no more than 10 inches of rock was sufficient. I think most of it was under 7 inches, but providing that the road was raised above the water level, it would be fine, right?
Yeah, right. But the smoothness of the surface is what's going to make for a better ride.
Well, that was the other thing. He also determined that roads could be practically level, allowing for smoother travel, as long as they had a slight camber or curvature, which allowed the rain to drain into the ditches that were dug on either side of the road. Previously, roads were just basically flat to the ground. And now he's like, no, we're going to raise it up a little bit and make them just a little curved, and they can be smooth.
Sure.
But, Emily, his real innovation was that instead of large, artificially rounded rocks, McAdam discovered that small, angular rocks would lock into each other as they were ridden over, creating a more solid foundation, going as far to say every piece of stone put into a road which exceeds an inch in any of its dimensions is mischievous.
That's what the musical number is called, Mischievous.
It's mischievous.
That's that song, is Mischievous. Yeah. And you think it's going to be like a fun song about character. It's not. He's talking about roads. But he alludes, it's like a metaphor, you know? Because he's mischievous. He's mischievous.
Emily, it gets worse.
Oh no.
Because he even figured out an easier way to break rocks.
Oh, wow.
At the time, they were like able-bodied men, big, strong men would stand and use large hammers to crush the rocks. He discovered that if you sit and use a small hammer, you would get more leverage. And get ready for this, thus enabling him to confine it to old men past hard labor, women and boys, which reduced the cost of the broken stones by 1/2.
At the expense of the people doing the work.
Yeah. But think of how much money you save, you know?
Well, that's where the conflict in the musical comes in. Is that people are like, you are exploiting the elderly and the young.
So, Emily, McAdam published his findings in 2 treatises, and after answering several parliamentary inquiries, his process became widespread through Great Britain, with France and the US following not far behind. The first US road created through this process, the Boonesboro Turnpike Road in Maryland, was completed in 1823, and the second, Cumberland Road, now known as National Road, became the first major improved highway built by the U.S. government upon its completion under budget in 1830.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So do you think it's this guy's fault that, no, I guess it would have happened later, that American rails sort of ended?
Definitely not his fault. No, yeah.
No, that happened later, right?
That happened later, I think, yeah. So it helped that McAdam's research unearthed an enormous grift on the part of turnpike trusts, which were taking in huge sums of parliamentary money, which McAdam described as large, much beyond the general belief, and wasting it on remaking the same road over and over again, and then getting paid for that work.
Sure, because it kept busting.
Yeah, well, but like anybody who was involved with these turnpike trusts didn't want a better process because they were getting paid so much money.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
And he was like, no, we can fix this. His process became popularly known as macadamization, and it's widely acknowledged as the greatest revelation in road building since ancient Rome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's insane. There were a couple revelations before him that he kind of built on, but his was like enormous. It was huge.
Wow.
Because the process incorporated so many significant changes, to macadamize or macadam a road could refer to the action of paving a road in this manner or the action of breaking up the stones. Either of them is called macadamizing.
Okay, but not to macadam. It is to macadamize.
You can also say to macadam. Yeah.
Wow.
Either works. And then similarly, Emily, the material could be called macadam itself, as in this quote from journalist Albany Fonblank's memoir. I know, what a crazy name. Albany Fonblank.
That's also a character in the musical. I don't know where he fits in.
Yes, absolutely.
He's like an old, like Mr. Finch type character.
So in Fonblank's memoir, he describes the impermeability of the position of quartermaster general by stating, he may gravely serve out macadam for rations and supply biscuit for making roads, and to him no blame can possibly attach.
So, but he was just using macadam to mean like the materials?
The material, like the mixture of stones, of broken up stones.
Right.
The surface of a road also became known as macadam, because that was the difference between his roads and the old roads, right? And then roads using this technique became macadams, which broadened to all roads in general. Take, for example, this quote from Noctes Ambrosianae, where a Scottish shepherd complains about a hackney coach, which was a carriage for hire.
Sorry, just Noctes, is this a book title?
No, it's a long-running article in Blackwood's magazine.
Okay.
It's like a compilation of stories, Noctes Ambrosianae.
Got you.
But the gentleman says, what a sharp and continual rattle o' wheels, intolerable a nuke o'er the macadam, but Lord hae mercy on us when you're on the causeway. Basically saying, like, the taxi was so bad on a macadam, which is smooth. So when you go on another kind of road, like, oh my God.
God hae mercy, yeah.
Plenty of figurative uses abound. Macadamize could mean to figuratively pave a way for something, as in, each successful labor of today will macadamize the road for tomorrow. Isn't that a lovely statement?
Absolutely.
And it could also figuratively mean to break something up, as in, fathers have flinty hearts and amenities have failed to macadamize them.
Sure.
And certain isolated figurative uses of macadam offer poetic inspiration, conjuring the image of a gondolier on smooth macadam seas, and sprinkling a little macadam of stony fact along the fair upland path of one's imagination.
See, that's interesting because it's like across both the verb and the noun, it's like macadam can conjure like a metaphor for smoothness or a metaphor for little bits.
Yeah, for breaking into pieces. Just because the process had so many new features that it just meant
both
so much.
Both of those things were like what was unique about macadam.
Yeah,
that's
it's really
cool,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're rounding it out here, Emily. So in many places, macadamization was the main process for road building until the advent of motor vehicles necessitated even stronger roads.
Mm-hmm.
Because the regular carriages, the Macadams fared pretty well. But once you started getting these motor cars going on
Like
them,
more weight
all right.
and faster movement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for that, Emily, one story relates how Welsh inventor Edgar Pernell Hooley, another character in the musical.
These are good names. Just
Right?
every one is a real banger.
Yeah, it really is. Hooley noticed a particularly smooth macadam near an ironworks and was told that a spilled barrel of tar was the culprit.
Aha.
Emily, Hooley quickly patented a mixture of tar and aggregate for surfacing roads, which through this process, the roads were called tarmacadams.
Is that where tarmac comes from?
And Hooley then trademarked the surfacing agent as tarmac.
Oh my God, Kyle. That's incredible.
Isn't that so good?
Also, crazy that ironwork was going to tar and feather someone, and luckily they didn't, and they just
Yeah, thank God.
threw that tar on the road.
Thank God Hooley, came upon that.
He
Maybe
stopped
Hooley was the
them.
one
They were about to do it.
They were going to do it to him. And then tarmac, through its use just widely, but also at airports, that area became known as a tarmac.
The tarmac, yeah.
Yeah, the tarmac. Ironically, Emily, even though McAdam worked closely with the British Tar Company through his colliery, which I mentioned earlier, he preferred unsurfaced macadams for his roads. He said no surfacing agent should be used. So he kind of missed the boat on that.
Yeah, he could have been even more immortal.
Yeah. But still, Emily, McAdam was revered as a civil engineer. Later in his life, he was even offered knighthood, but he declined due to his failing health. He was, a few years out from
couldn't handle riding into battle.
Yeah, exactly. In the 1830s, it was probably a lot for him, But regardless, Emily, McAdam's legacy lives on through his emphasis on effective and economical road construction, advocating for oversight and professionalism in road maintenance, and being the progenitor of a network of roads worldwide that have led to our modern-day highway systems.
Fantastic, Kyle. What a road trip you've led us on indeed. Both literal and metaphorical. This was a road trip.
I hope that I've macadamized the way to learning more about John Loudon McAdam.
Absolutely. So many roads.
And with that, Emily, good segue I've just created. Can you use macadam in a sentence?
I'm sure I can. Well, Kyle, here's my sentence, Kyle. I think that you and I should take a macadam trip next summer. Take a macadam trip somewhere we've never been before, Kyle.
We should go to Ayrshire.
Let's drive down New Macadams.
New Macadams.
New Macadams is the lead actor in that film, in that musical.
New Macadams. His name's New.
Yeah, it's with a G.
Oh, great word, Emily. Great
word.
Sentence, Emily.
Thanks. I worked really hard on this episode.
Good.
Kyle, can we play a game before everything falls apart?
Absolutely. Get ready for this. Your game today is called High Road Parkway and the Camber of Secrets.
Beautiful. Not strained at all.
We've covered just a touch of the specific terminology used in road construction today. For this game, I'm going to give you 3 definitions, and you will have to choose the correct term from a bank of 5 words.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I dig this.
Your bank is the words culvert, luminaire, pozzolin, riprap, and shoe fly.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
So your first definition is broken stone or concrete used to line an embankment to prevent erosion.
I feel like that's gotta be riprap, because riprap just sounds like it means like bric-a-brac. You know, it's got that mouthfeel.
Emily, yeah, wow, you got it. Right on the head, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emily, riprap, also called shot rock, rock armor, or in the UK, just rubble.
Sure.
It's used often to shore up shorelines, but it can also be used beneath bridges or near streams or storm drains. It's basically to prevent roads from flooding.
Sure.
Okay, next one, Emily.
Okay, hit me.
A localized detour adjacent to construction work. So this is like when you're on a highway and they detour you into a single lane, or they create a new set of lanes so that they could do construction in the middle.
Right. I mean, this might be going very literal, but my guess is that it's shoe fly, because you're shooing cars into a different place so that you can work.
Emily, I made this game too easy for you. Yes, that is called a shoe
I'm
fly.
just so smart, Kyle.
That comes from a similar concept for a railway device that was used for throwing the track temporarily to one side in order to carry out repairs.
Sure.
Okay, Emily, last one.
All right.
Your definition is any structure not classified as a bridge that provides an opening under a roadway.
So I have a guess at what this... So here's the thing. I've heard... I don't know if... I'm not making this my guess yet. I'm ideating. I've heard the word culvert before. And the context that I've heard it in, I think it was being used to mean like a drainage hole in a wall. But that feels like it is an opening under a structure. Say what you said again that this word means.
Any structure not classified as a bridge that provides an opening under a roadway.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a culvert.
Emily, you are 3 for 3.
Dang.
You got it.
That's, hey, never say I didn't learn anything from watching Lord of the Rings a million times.
They use the term culvert in Lord of the Rings?
Yep.
Wow. See, you can learn road construction from high fantasy.
Right.
Culverts are usually seen as channels for draining water that are just in walls along roadways or beneath roadways. Literally what you said, Emily. That's what a culvert is.
Nice.
So you're 3 for 3.
Amazing.
I'll tell you that the other two, a luminaire is a street light. That's just
sure,
like
that makes sense.
Yeah. And pozzolan is a cement-like material named after pozzolana, which was a volcanic ash used in cement making that could be found near Pozzuoli, near Naples in Italy. It's a very specific type of material.
Fantastic.
But yeah, Emily, that's Macadam. That's road building. We got to go build a road now so that we can take a road trip, a Macadam trip.
We got to build it ourselves. What's the point of driving down it if you haven't done it yourself?
It's really true. It takes out the fun when you haven't done it yourself.
It's true. Well, hey, everybody. Let's just remember what's important here. Remember that you can find Butter No Parsnips on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you like today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really like today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more gets you access to our Patreon exclusive podcast, Buttered Parsnips. This month's episode being Eponyms, our roundup of some of the most fascinating eponyms.
So thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Kyle Imperator.
And I've been Emily Moyers, and this has been Butter No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glixman, Emily Moyers, and myself, Kyle Imperator. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.